Hey YouTube shooting people, you're looking at my Glock 34. It's a fantastic pistol. They come out of the box in pretty good shape to use them for what they were intended, which is competition shooting. I think one area of improvement certainly is the sights. I think should be improved. By the way, this pistol has been checked off camera. There's no magazine in it. There is no round in the chamber. Put the slide forward, point in safe direction, pull the trigger, the gun's safe. One area improvement right out of the box. The factory sights are usable, but I think they kind of they suck, to be honest with you, particularly the rear sight. Front sight's just a regular Glock sight. The rear sight, the stock rear sight, is a travesty. These are Dawson sights. I have videos up on how to change them, and I've been extremely happy with them. The other area of improvement is actually the trigger. So when we look at this gun, or in terms of competition, one issue is the Glock trigger. If we look at this trigger, okay, so there's my creep. It breaks pretty nicely. So it's a pretty crisp break. It's not particularly gritty. It's actually not gritty at all. I did the 25-cent Glock trigger job. I'm sure you've seen videos on that. If you want to know how to do that, let me know. It's very straightforward. That smooths things out. But I find that even so, being a stock Glock 34 trigger, I don't know what the weight is on it. It's whatever the weight is. I don't have a trigger scale. Because I'm not interested in poundage. I'm interested in it being smooth and the feel of the trigger. So I'm guessing this is like 4.5, 5 pounds, whatever the stock trigger is, whatever that might be. Anyway, this is one area of improvement in terms of making this trigger better in terms of you as a shooter not having to work on it or work at it. Executing the shot is hard. That's what it's all about. If you ask any shooter, anybody that puts a lot of rounds through guns, it's all about the trigger. It's really all about the trigger. So how do you do that? All right, well, one way to do it is bring it to a gunsmith, of course. That's a tried and true method. Gunsmith will make lots of changes to it. The other way is to buy drop-in kits. So I have a box here that has a drop-in kit that is well regarded in the world of competition shooting. So let's open this up. The people that sell them are these folks right here. I'm not endorsed by anybody, but I'd be happy to be endorsed by somebody. GlockTriggers.com. I have to say, I ordered this on Easter Sunday. It's now Wednesday. I got it in the mail today. So shipping was real fast. So GlockTriggers.com sells a drop-in trigger kit. This is just my receipt. And here it is. This happens to be for a 9mm Generation 4 pistol for Glocks. It'll work on any of the 9mm Generation 4s. And it's the VOGEL, Bob Vogel, Competition Trigger System. So it's endorsed by VOGEL. If you've ever seen this guy shoot, all I can say is, holy shit. And this guy makes a living shooting, and so the trigger is everything for these guys. All right, what comes in this kit? So you're actually going to get three different springs for your striker at a 4-pound, 4.5-pound, and a 5-pound striker spring. Okay, this will make a difference on your trigger pull. 5 pounds stock, I believe. So 4.5 is sort of, you know, obviously in the middle. If you go too light, some people go lighter. The problem with going lighter is that you might have light primer strikes. So just be aware of that. So if you reload or if you're using factory ammo, you may want to, if you don't know what primers are on there, you may want to do some experimenting with these different springs. We'll show you how to put those in a minute. So you get your striker springs, that's great. You also get this nifty plastic case. Put it over there. This is a replacement firing pin block. Excuse me. It is highly polished. When I take it out of the bag, I'll show you. But I think you can see how shiny this thing is. And a new spring. You also have extra cups that go on the striker to replace the spring in case you lose the ones that you're taking off. Comes with a little Allen key because this thing is adjustable for over travel. Here's the information for these nice folks that make this product. It's completely drop-in. And what you also have here is basically an entire drop-in trigger group, the whole thing. Now I want to point out a couple things to you right away. This thing is highly, highly polished. If you run your fingers sort of over the parts that rub against each other, you can see this thing is just wicked polished. Okay, it's a complete drop-in kit, the whole kit and caboodle. So let's get to putting this thing in. It's actually quite easy. We already cleared the gun, but let's just go through the exercise of clearing the gun again. There's no magazine in here. I rack back my slide, I inspect the chamber. There's nothing in the chamber. Okay, slide forward, hammer down in a safe direction. Now I'm just gonna break the gun down. Let's just take off the slide, and for right now we're just going to worry about the frame. Right, so here we are with our frame. Alright, let's go through how to take this apart. Get a roll of tape like this. I'll show you what you need it for. Get something to hold the pins and stuff that you're going to take apart so you don't lose them on the floor in case you get the dropsies or something like that. You got 3 pins on a Glock pistol. Okay, zoom in a little bit. You got this one here that holds the housing in the back, and on Generation 4 pistols it also holds the back strap. You have this pin here which holds your locking block, and this one holds your trigger group in there. Okay, alright, so the first one you're going to take out, or the first one I take out, is the back one, and you just push that baby out. If you use a roll of tape like this, it gives you some space, so when you push it out, the pin has room to go out, if you get what I'm saying. If you don't get what I'm saying, then maybe you shouldn't be taking apart your Glock. The next pin that I take out is the locking block right here, the top one, the top small one. The pins are all different sizes, so you're not gonna. You should be able to just press them out. Put them in your plastic container so you don't lose them. You should just be able to push them out. You shouldn't have to struggle or hammer on it or anything like that. If it's new, you might have to give it a little encouragement, but don't break out the 10-pound sledgehammer. Use like the plastic end of a screwdriver and just tap it gently. Now, this pin gives people trouble because the slide lock's in there. That pin's got a ridge. Okay, goes up and it goes down. That this thing sits in. Okay, so what you need to do is kind of move this around a little bit sometimes while you're pressing down, and you can actually feel it kind of move out, and it should just push right through. On a gun, you shouldn't have to force anything apart. You shouldn't have to force anything together. If you do, something's not fitting right. Step back from it and sort of rethink it and take a different approach, okay? Or consult somebody. Now I have to take out my locking block, and I'm just going to stick something underneath it to pry it up a little bit, which is, I'm just using a Glock tool. Any punch will do. And this thing just comes right out. Put it in the plastic bin with the other stuff. And then what will happen is this whole trigger assembly here will just pop right out. Okay? And that's it. This one's nice and dirty and happy. Okay? We're going to put her aside for right now. I'm going to pause the camera because I want to clean out all the carbon inside of this pistol, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so this has all been cleaned. What I wanted to point out to you is that on the VOGEL system, you'll see a hole back here, right here, where the Allen key can fit in there, and there's a screw. You can adjust this tension and your over travel. Okay? I'm assuming they kind of have it in a pretty good spot right from the factory, but we'll mess around with that as if needed. So we just drop it back into the frame. It couldn't be simpler. It just pops back in. Simple. We'll put back our locking block. Again, also simple. There's only really one way this thing can go in there. You shouldn't have any problems. There it goes. And we'll start to assemble this. Put our pins back. You take your longer pin, is the one you're going to need for your locking block. I put the locking block pin back in first. Typically what I try to do is, if you remove it from left to right, I install it back in from right to left, although I don't really think that matters, to be honest with you. You should just go right in there, press it in, try to get it even on both sides. That looks pretty even on both sides. So the advantage of doing it this way, this will only take a second, is that you see this spring on the slide lock. If we look at it like this, the spring here, having that that first pin in place gives a place for that spring to sort of set up against and rest against, right? So it's just easier to get her all together. That's clean enough. I gotta tell you, I don't like cleaning guns so much sometimes. I'd rather be shooting them. We put this slide lock back in place, like so. Okay. And then we take our trigger pin. It's the one that's slotted and thicker. So this is not a particularly difficult equation here for gun guys like us. Now you'll get to a point here where it'll be a little bit difficult to push it in, and that's when you just got to manipulate this a little bit and get it past those recessed parts of the pin, or slots in the pins, and when you push it in, it actually should feel it clicking. Okay, click in there. Everybody's happy now. We're all together. Let's put our back strap on. And the pin, I can tell you for this one, it doesn't matter what side you go in first. It really doesn't. You just push it in. Make sure that it's lined up. And there we go. Alright, we got all our pins in there. Let's put the slide back on. It's a dirty slide. We're going to put it on anyway. And see what this thing feels like, the new trigger. Now remember, there's other components here, the firing pin block and the spring for the striker, but let's just feel what the trigger feels like by itself first, and what that over travel adjustment's going to feel like. Okay. Oh man. I honestly don't, because I don't have, like I told you. I'm speechless. This thing is, that's a very smooth trigger. There's my take up, and then it breaks really nice, and it'll be lighter when I change the striker spring and the whatchamacallit, no, the firing pin block. But let's mess around with this for a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to try to remember what this feels like. Okay, look at my reset. You're not going to be able to see anything, so let's do it this way. Watch my reset. Reset. Real smooth. Alright, let's take this apart, and I'll show you how to adjust that over travel. Okay, put the slide on the side there. What we have to do, let me just, clockwise will limit the travel of the trigger bar, lighten the trigger pull, and shorten the reset distance. Alright, so I'm going to move this clockwise. Alright, so the way you have to do this is with the back strap, you can kind of leave the back strap in place, I'll let it move. I'm just taking out that back pin, I'm picking up my trigger group so I can see the hole in the back here, a Allen key in there. And I'm going to turn it a little bit. I'm going to try to remember how much I'm turning it. Then we'll put it back together. I'm going to turn it a half a turn clockwise. Okay. Alright. That's a half turn clockwise. And actually, one of the good things about doing this on video is you can kind of remember which way you turned it and how much, because it's recorded. Alright, let's put this pin back in. Okay. I think I'm going to stick with that, actually. That's a pretty short reset. Now, if you go too much, you're going to have problems. Alright, if you actually go too much, you'll actually notice the gun will start to bind when cycling. Wow, that's really nice. Alright, so let's go for the next step. Let's take it apart again. By the way, when you're doing this, no ammo in the area, please. None. Alright, let's take apart our slide, which is a standard kind of field strip, right? Slide, barrel. The way you take this guy apart, you're not going to need your roll of tape anymore, so let's move that aside. You got to get underneath this striker right here. You all seen this, right? So I'm just going to remove this, push it down, take the tension off the back plate, take the back plate off, right? Couldn't be simpler. Put the back plate in my little plastic thing. Then I have my striker assembly, my plunger, and I'm going to have my extractor, take my extractor out, and I'm going to have my firing pin block and firing pin block spring. Put those aside. Alright, this thing is pretty filthy. I'm going to turn off the camera, clean this, and get right back to you. Alright, so we clean the slide. Now I try to clean all my guns every 4,000 rounds or so, whether or not they need it. Did you get that? Are you laughing? I hope so. I didn't clean the barrel
because I just recently cleaned this thing, and I'm just going to wipe it down a little bit on the outside because it doesn't really need it at the moment. And she's just going to get dirty again, so I'm not going to mess with it. I think it's clean enough for right now. So let's go ahead and make these modifications on the slide of the pistol. What we're going to be doing is changing out the striker spring, and I'm going to go for the 4.5 pound spring. Okay, and the way to do this is pretty simple. So let me try to get my camera so you can actually see what the hell I'm doing. All right. The trick here is you gotta remove the spring cups and then put in your new spring. And I'm going to put the 4.5 pounder in here. Okay. You see that? Okay. All right. There's numerous ways to do this. You may lose the cups, but again, this is not a big issue. You just pull down on it like so, and these spring cups just come right out like so. And just don't let it free, right? Just don't let it go. Just gently relieve the tension, take it off, and set it aside. Okay. Now, your spring cups might be a little bit dirty. Just again, clean those a little bit. I'm going to reuse the factory ones. I don't see the need to replace them at this point. They're not worn or cracked or anything like that. So we'll keep them. We take out our new spring. Okay. Spring is the same on both sides. It goes back on. Couldn't be easier, right? Presto changeo. There you have it. Now you're going to have a bit of a challenge here because you need to depress this in this kind of position, right? So what you want to do is there's a couple ways of doing this. The one easy way of doing it is just not worrying about that and just pressing it down pretty far on its own. Get your cups in there. And there's 2 halves. Should be pretty simple. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see what I'm doing because my fingers are going to be in the way. But this is pretty straightforward. Okay, and there you have it. Alright, so the cups go back on there like so. Everybody's happy. Everybody is dancing down at the local armory. Alright. Now just make sure that that cup actuates on here. In other words, it can come back like so. Right, once we have this guy in shape, what we're going to do is replace our firing pin block. Here it is, super shiny, highly polished, so this is what you want. Okay. This goes in the gun first, like so. Okay. You take your extractor, like so, put it back in. You're going to have to depress the firing pin block while you insert the extractor. It just sits right in there. You put in your plunger. The metal end goes in first, not the spring end. Okay. Ask me how I know that. No, don't. Then your striker assembly can go right in there. Alright. And let's zoom out. This is just standard Glockativity right now. And what we're going to do is just push in our the end of the striker part here, and you can just use your Glock tool. See what I'm doing? Pushing this guy in while I have my finger on the back plate. Okay, push it in. Don't get crazy. Okay, once it goes into position, you're good. These springs aren't under a huge amount of tension. pushing the plunger spring, this snaps into place, and you can reassemble your pistol. I'm going to reassemble it without re-lubricating it for the moment. I'll do that, sort of, I won't waste your time doing that. Recoil spring goes back in, put together the pistol, we mate the slide and the frame together. That is unbelievably smooth. I have to say, I think that I've shortened that reset for me personally a bit too much. So I'm going to go back, turn it off camera, turn it counterclockwise, and get back to you and tell you what I think about all this. Alright, I just readjusted that back, the over travel screw back to where it came from the factory. I think it's good right where it is, or was. Let's look at this now. Wow. I gotta tell you, I know this is really light, really nice. I wish I had a gun. I wish I had a range in my basement, because I can't wait to shoot this thing, because this thing is, it's real smooth, it's real light. And I can tell you right away, you are definitely working less on your trigger. Good reset, audible still. It doesn't feel mushy or shitty or anything like that. It really feels good. Take-up's great. Real nice. So this, so far just for feel, this VOGEL Competition Trigger System looks like it could be a winner. Let's not prejudge it. Let's go and shoot it, see what it feels like. I will be keeping my old striker spring with me just in case. In case I have problems with light primer hits. I can switch it out again, but I think overall this is a hell of a nice product. It's about 150 bucks to your house. It's probably, that's probably competitive with what a gunsmith would charge you. The difference might be, travel and time. It took us just a few minutes to do this. Rather, for me in Massachusetts, anything involving firearms is a complete pain in the ass. So to get to a gunsmith, to drop it off, to, be without it for however long it takes, to get a real custom trigger job done on it, is going to be more of a hassle than this, and probably a wash in terms of price. So so far it looks pretty good. Alright folks, give it a shot. This is something you might want to consider. We'll take it out shooting, we'll give it a real test drive. Thanks for watching.